This is probably the happiest time of the 3 or 4 days that we're here, meeting new members. And I can remember the day that I joined, 1985 or something, a year. And my local bishop told me to go to Cleveland, Ohio, and there's a meeting there. And I had to come up with my $10,000. And I was shaking that $10,000 was a lot of money then. And I had my check, and I went to Cleveland. It's about 50 miles away from my business. And when I walked into the meeting, Father Alex was there. He was just a young priest. And he said, "What are you doing here?" I says, "Well, the bishop told me to come here and deliver this 10,000. Don't you know this is an executive meeting and you can't be here?" I said, "My God, this is a good way for me to save the 10,000. I wasn't sure I wanted to join, so I said, "Well, I don't know. I got this check." He says, "Well, just wait outside and we'll talk to you." But that was my start of leadership. But I've been around here for about 39 years, and I want to thank you. Thank each and every one of you, because leadership has been part of my life. My family, of course, well, my business first, family second, if they're well, and number 3 is leadership. I really love this organization. We've been around for 40 years. We have successions. We have our chairman here, Jim Legotitis, and we've been around 40 years. And we've never had a lawsuit. We've never had an argument. We have over $100 million in assets. We've given $75 million to our church and church-related organizations. Never an argument. Nobody ever quits. We just found in Greeks, you get 2 of them together, they'll start fighting sooner or later. But it's been a wonderful organization. It's changed my life. And there's Paulette over there, Paulette Polis. And then again, I'm sorry, this is Jim Logotitis, our chairman. He's in his 3rd year now, right, Jim?
Getting into
just getting in the 3rd year.
Starting my 3rd year.
So I think what I want to do, it has changed my life. I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I like leadership and what we've done for the church. And I would like to, instead of, and you can question us and ask us questions, but I also want to know why you decided to join leadership. That's so important to us. And Paulette, what do we have, 85 new members? 89 new members, thanks to that woman over there.
I think I've got number 9.
Yeah. So we have 90 new members. We're growing. We have over 1,300, Jim?
Yes.
1,300 members. A few of them have passed away. But it's a wonderful organization, and I can't thank you enough for having faith in us. And we'll try and do everything we can to help you. Jim, you can take it a little bit if you want to.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you, John, and all of those giants that have come before us, because without those people, without their inspiration, without their commitment to the church and the Greek community in America, we would not have Leadership 100, and we would not have so many other of our organizations. Similar to what John said, I came to this organization quite a few years ago. In the meantime, I have signed up my 2 children. I hope my 3rd also signs up soon. And all 3 with their spouses will be here over the next 2 days. They're just arriving. Because at the end of the day, I'm from Greece originally. I came when I was 13 years old. And I've been involved in the Greek American community since I graduated from college at the age of 21, so that was a long time ago. But as I've been involved with so many different organizations, I've come to the realization that we cannot be all things to all people. We cannot have our own individual organizations because somebody wants to have the title of president. That we need to focus, that we need to unite first and foremost. We need to be united. We need to prioritize. We need to fund, and we need to inspire. And there's no other organization out there that I know of that has the level of commitment, I think that has the record of sustainability and the record of impact. All of you, I'm sure, give to different causes. I've been involved with not-for-profits all my career, which, by the way, I spent 40 years with the accounting firm of Ernst & Young. And I got involved in not-for-profits for a long time. The people that give money, and it's no different for the Greek community, is they give money in organizations that can demonstrate sustainability and impact. And yes, there are other organizations around that may have been, in name anyway, they've been around for a long time. But when you think about what we have accomplished, when you think about the impact, and hopefully most of you or some of you were in the meeting this morning and you saw the video and some of the things we talked about, and you see the type of people that we are attracting to these conferences, when you see the commitment, the vision of the Archbishop, our new Archbishop, well, it's not really new now, he's been around for 4 years or so, you have to say that if I want to stay close to my faith and my heritage, I have to get involved, I have to get engaged, become engaged, and I have to contribute. And I cannot think of another organization.
At the age of 93, when something comes to my mind, if I don't say it, I lose it.
Please.
So I'm going to interrupt that.
Absolutely.
One thing that is very important is the money that you give to the church. We have it down deep that we can never touch that money. In other words, at $100 million, that's the money that's been donated. So we have it in our bylaws that we cannot spend that $100 million. The interest that we get from our investments, that's what we do. And we are totally an independent organization pledged to the church. We don't have anything else but our church in mind. But we cannot spend the money that you do, and just the income derived from that goes to good causes in our church. And we sit down, the president sits, chairman sits down with the Archbishop and the needs of the church, and we fund the church. So the money that you have there will never be touched by anybody. It's what's the word for it?
Inviolate.
Inviolate.
Yeah. So over the years, we have, just to kind of do the math a little bit, we have like 1,300 members. If you look at our financial statements, you'll see that we have about 12 million in receivables. That's the amount that hasn't been paid towards the commitment yet. $100 million that's in investments. And over the years, we have earned roughly 7.5% to 8% on those investments. We spend about 2% on administrative costs, including funding some of this, let's say, conference. And the rest we have contributed to causes that you can find in your book. You can see the grants that we've given out very specifically. Of course, the most important contributions that we have made quantitatively and qualitatively really is to Hellenic College Holy Cross, to produce priests. You know, you all can appreciate without priests, our churches are not going to run. 75% of the tuition for the current priests in America, or I'll take it to another way, 75% of our priests in America studied at Hellenic College Holy Cross, and we have paid for their tuition. That's the number one thing. Yes. Ionian.
Now, I think maybe it'd be good, Jim, because the music's going to start upstairs, down, wherever it's at. I'd like to know some of the reasons and some questions you have of us, and
Yes.
we'll try and answer them.
Please.
To you. Are there any questions you have? Please. I hope it works.
My name is Stephen Moronis. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Sophia. I want to know what you're eating in... it's a lot less. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm a little shy. I'm trying to break out of my shell. I'm a Heian. I'm a dyed in the wool.
I told him already.
Okay, well, we're going to talk. So, let me get back to where I was at. I want to know what you're eating and drinking to get to 93, because you look like you're like 69.
Absolutely.
Give him a hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
In any event, we're all rookies, so congratulations to all of you. The reason that my wife and I decided to become members of Leadership 100, first and foremost, as you get older, you become, I did anyway, become more spiritual. And you get to understand the depth of this triskiasmas.
Come home.
It's like coming home. You know, you get married, you have kids, you come to the church, and you get more and more involved. I just came back with the Archbishop from Mount Athos. So I get goosebumps when I talk about it. But the reason that we joined is because of the great importance of the Orthodox Church, first of all, through the centuries, but especially during the Ottoman occupation. The church was the glue that kept us together, propagated the religion, continued the language, and without the church, we would have been completely overrun.
Yep, so much so true.
So we are now at a very important focal point in the world where people are leaving their religions, whether it be Orthodoxy or Catholicism or Judaism, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're here, you have a strong spiritual connection. You know, I don't want to get choked up, but so I don't want to hog the microphone, but that's why I'm here. Thank you all. Bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
There is one thing that we're striving, because the new Archbishop, and he's just brought in his head deacon, and as we were walking to a meeting today, he said, what can we do? What is the most important thing that we have to do in New York? And it was amazing. I told him these mixed marriages are such an important thing. 80% of the marriages now conducted in our church are with mixed marriages, interfaith marriages. And that is so important. And the first two couples that I met were interfaith marriages. So that's something that's on our agenda, that we do have a good product if we can sell it. We do have, it's a good church. It's a good product. And we love it, but go ahead.
Yeah, let me just add something to that. I had this conversation. I had a drink with a couple. He's Greek, she's Egyptian. A fantastic couple.
Some seats over here. Come on.
So I had this discussion, and I was telling them that if for those of you that are knowledgeable of history,
For these seats here.
if we go back to the War of Independence of 1821, what we'll find is that if it wasn't for the enlightened people of Europe, they had studied Hellenism and Orthodoxy, and if it wasn't for the Philhellenes, all the way from Russia, Germany, Lord Byron, the UK, and of course Americans, so many Americans, including doctors from Harvard and places like that, they went to Greece, that fought for Greece and have died in Greece. And you can see their graves in places like Naples. If it wasn't for the Philhellenes, we would not be free. And this, in today's environment, where we live now, second, third, fourth, fifth generation, of course, we expect that our people will get married and there will be interfaith or whatever you want to call them, marriages. And it's the most important thing that we can do is to make sure that those people that marry us, those are the best Philhellenes. That's the future of this church and the future of our community, that we offer them, we find opportunities for them to learn about our culture, our heritage, even our language. I've been very, very involved in Greek schools over the years, And it's so important that we maintain the Greek schools, we find ways to support Hellenism with that segment of our
Jim,
population.
you're an accountant. Tell them we have 2 accounting firms, one checking on. Tell them
Yes.
how
Well, we have, to what
we gotta
John was saying
when
earlier.
there's money around, we've got to make sure.
Yeah. So as John said earlier, we've had from the very beginning, we have an accounting firm out of New York that looks after, basically keeps all the accounting work for us, working very closely with Paulette and her staff. And then we have an accounting firm, an auditing firm, that Grant Thornton, that actually comes in and audits the books every year. And we are very, very proud to say we have never in the 40 years had a qualified opinion, which means we had some issues, or any internal control issues.
Paulette,
it's as clean as it comes.
What do they say, Paulette, when they finish with you?
They say we wish everyone was like leadership.
Any other questions? Thank you. That was very nice. You said it exactly the way I told you to say it. Is there any other planted people I have out here that can speak? Any other questions you have of us, please? We're open for anything.
Well, you're thinking, I guess the only other thing I will mention is, as you heard this morning, you'll hear again, this is the largest class in, let's say, over the last 10, 15 years. I didn't go back to 20 years to look, but we have 90 new members. Hopefully we can announce more by the end of the banquet. And I think that's a testament. And by the way, we have 725 people at our conference. And last year we had 525. So we had a 40% increase in our conference. 725.
And how many youth?
And 250 young adults, young professionals.
That's the
275 young professionals. So I think that's the best demonstration that this organization is really focused on the youth, the young people, the transition. And obviously, we're hoping that this momentum that we have developed, thanks to our Archbishop, thanks to the board, thanks to Paulette, of course, so many other people, that this continues. Next year, we're going to Orlando. We're going to have more space. And perhaps, Paulette, what do you think? Can we handle 1,000 people? No.
But the only advice I have to all of you tonight, there is something. We all drink out of the same cup, but the leadership people are nice. And tonight, go out of your way to meet people. You'll be surprised how many friends I have, and we kept that relationship. We traveled together. Most of my people have died since then, and they're not around. But you have a relationship that lasts forever. So mix and mingle within the people, and you'll find out members that have been 20 years, 30 years, they're all nice people. There's no hot dog people here. There's no show-offs. A lot of people say we should get more billionaires on our board of directors. We don't believe in that. We believe that we just want to help our church. We are totally independent, but our commitment is to our church, Hellenism, and also Hellenism and Orthodoxy. That's our missions. Any other questions about?
Yeah, please. Any questions? Yeah, please.
Tony DeGenis, my wife, Chris DeGenis.
Hello, welcome.
From Potomac, Maryland. You mentioned directors. It's extremely important to have very, very highly competent, responsible people. And of course, living in the Washington, D.C. area, we have some major contributors, two of whom I followed very closely in their careers, John Citalidis and Mike
course.
Manitos.
That's right.
And
Wonderful.
They're here tonight.
Yes.
They're here.
Mike is John.
John had to leave,
John
but yeah.
Citalidis was
Yeah.
here.
So I have a question.
Sure.
I know that it is a financial commitment that everyone has made, and you've got that. How do we become more actively involved and work on projects of leadership?
Yeah, great question. Two things I would say. Our current board is, I think, 41, Paulette, something like that. And I have asked the board, we will discuss at the next board meeting, to increase the board members maybe to 50, because we have people that want, like yourself, they want to participate. We want to bring more women on the board and more young people on the board, and we need to have more board members. We have just put together a committee that will work on this over the next few months, to also clarify solidify the expectations from the board members. Because honestly, like many other organizations, we have board members that don't necessarily fulfill all the expectations. So we will have openings on our board, I'm sure, over the next 2 or 3 years. And if you have an interest, please let us know. We would love to have more board members. We have standing committees, like the Finance Committee, the Investment Committee, the Audit Committee. We're about to form a committee on marketing and branding, something like that. So we would encourage membership to a committee. So we would like all of our board members to be on a committee. And quite honestly, we want to entice people that are not on the board, but members of leadership to come and participate. And the last thing I will say is we will work on over the next month or so, the board agreed to this yesterday or 2 days ago, I guess it was yesterday, that we will also set up what we think about as an ambassadors program, where we will have regional offices. So for the 10 or 12, not offices, sorry, for the 10 or 12 largest cities or areas where there's a concentration of Greek Americans, we would have a board member, maybe 2 board members, lead an effort to make presentations or let's say events once or twice a year so that we can get the word out about leadership. Because when you look at the membership and you look at the efforts over the years, it has been more, let's say, New York centered. We want to expand it across the country. And so you'll get plenty of opportunities to participate, I think, through the ambassador program as well.
That's a very good question. We're a little perplexed by the getting involved, and we need involvement because there's a lot to be done.
Yeah.
And we were on our way of having district meetings around the country. And then this COVID thing came in 3 or 4 years, we stopped all that, and we haven't continued that. We're going to try and set up meetings around the country. And all you have to do is just make a simple call to Paulette and say that you're interested in doing more and maybe being a member of the board. And I think there's not a waiting list because it's work. So we like to get more involvement, and that's a good question.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions, please?
John, one more thing. Most of you, probably all of you, have had some connection to Paulette, right, through the process. And Paulette is, I think you've heard me talk about Paulette. You all know Paulette. I don't have to say a lot more. But I'd like for Paulette to give you a little bit more of the perspective because she's been around for such a long time, the church in leadership. And so, Paulette, take it away.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Chairman Emeriti, John, who is the one that brought me back after His Eminence passed away. I was his administrative assistant. And when Archbishop Iakovos passed away, John called me and asked me if I would be interested in coming to Leadership 100. And of course I said yes.
I'll interrupt her. We were in Florida, and the Iakovos, the Archbishop, came up to me and says, I don't have too much longer to go. This poor little girl,
At that time I was a little
30, 40 years ago, she still is a knockout. But there was she had a couple boyfriends up there, and getting close, but she gave herself to the church, really did, and she's dedicated totally to the church. And Iakovos told me, I don't care what you do in life, make sure that Paulette, that was his final orders to me, and lo and behold, it worked out perfect. I was chairman, but what she's done for our organization, she's an icon.
Thank you. I didn't get married, but at least I married Leadership 100 in the church.
You married all of us.
But sorry for my voice. Everybody's been coming up, hugging me, kissing me, and going, and now I think they gave it to me. But anyway, I want to first thank you all for the wonderful support that you've offered to Leadership 100. John, as I started to say, was the one who asked me, please come back and work with leadership. And because it carried the name of our beloved Archbishop, I could not say no. But Archbishop Iakovos, the year that I came to him, which was 1965, and I said, I'm going to be a CPA. I'm on my way to Pace University. And he said, no, no, no. You come here for 1 year and you help me. Well, and he said, you can go to school at night. Well, there's no universities open at midnight, so that didn't happen. And I stayed for all these years. But I do not regret it, because Archbishop Iakovos was a legend. And the Archbishop traveled around the country, but what he did was, he said one day, the parishes are so overburdened. Many of you may be members of your council. He said they have the roof leaks, they need new pipes, they need new heaters. How many times am I going to ask them for money? So he said, you're all businessmen. Sit around the table and come up with a solution. And they said, Your Eminence, we are going to find 100 people to give $10,000 a year. And he said, you find me 100 people to give $10,000 a year, and God can call me home. Well, they passed the 100, and I said to him, Nami Vyaziste, we're going for 200. And today we have over 1,300. But it's not about the money. It's about transforming the dollars that you give into ministries. This theological school has produced many wonderful clergy. Many of them are probably in your particular parishes, but a lot of them could not make the tuition. We give $10,000 per semester, so that's 3 years in the theological division. That's $60,000 that we give to each student. And all we ask is, at the end, they have 3 years to sign up for ordination. But that doesn't mean that if they don't find a presbytera and they rush to get married to pay their tuition, that's not what we want. If they need more time, they talk to the Archbishop, and he, of course, is willing to extend their time. And every year I meet with the senior class, and they all tell me the same thing. Paulette, leadership helped me to become a priest. What can I do for you? And I say, go out and be the best priest you can be. And if you have someone in your community that might be interested in joining, give me a call, I'll do the rest. And I've received, through the help of the clergy, many supporters. But we also give to the clergy retreat. We have priests who go every year and spend 3 days with their archbishop. And I want to share one particular story. This past year, His Eminence was with the clergy, and one of them went there with severe depression. He didn't tell his brothers till he got there that I'm about to leave the priesthood. I can't deal with the bureaucracy. I can't deal with this. I'm going to be leaving. My wife does not know, but I'm going there to tell them goodbye. And when he got to the conference with the retreat, he listened to the priests. He talked with the Archbishop, Elpidoforos, who was his spiritual father. And he came back and wrote me the most beautiful letter. He said, Paulette, I just want you to know, I was about to leave the priesthood, but because Leadership 100 paid for my way to go to Phoenix, paid for my hotel, which my community wouldn't, I want you to know that after 3 days, I've decided to stay in the priesthood. I don't have to go back and tell my wife anything. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I still have that letter, and every time I look at it, I realize we have youth all over the country. We give each metropolis $30,000 every summer. That's 8 districts, 8 metropolises, and 1 direct district. That's $270,000. Why do we give it? It's not to put the electric bills on. It's not to pay for it's to allow children who may not have the means to go to camp an opportunity to have a week at a religious camp. They do fun things, but they also do rap sessions, confessions, things like that. These young kids write me every year. What an experience. I found God at a 1-week camp.
What I'm going to do with her, she doesn't pay attention to me. we're in New York City, and I've told her, you have to go home by 5 o'clock that evening. She starts at 8, and I want her in the subway to go home. You can call 8, 9, 10 o'clock. She's in Manhattan, taking the subway or a car or something. She will not listen to me, and once a month I call and I give her hell. She's so dedicated to our
But we
our
love
church.
what we
You've
do.
given your whole life to us.
But in closing, I just want to tell you that the Leadership 100 is an extension of the ministries that you have in your parishes. I see